let's go scope the wiring of the AC compressor. So now let's go under the vehicle. We are back under the vehicle. I'm gonna remove this test light that we connected to the piercing tools that are connected to the AC compressor wiring. I'm gonna remove the test light and we're gonna connect our lab scope test leads to these piercing tools. If the control that the AC control unit sends to the AC compressor is pulse width modulated, we might miss it with the test light. So I'm going to use our lab scope test leads. I'm going to connect them to these piercing tools. We're going to connect our ground over here. So now I'm going to show you the lab scope over here. So let's get our lab scope set up. Let's go to scope multimeter. I'm sorry for the glare. We're going to use the first 2 channels. Now, the wires at the AC compressor, like we saw on the wiring diagram, are coming from the AC control unit. So if we have any voltage at these wires, any voltage we're going to have at these wires will come from the AC control unit. The yellow trace is showing us minus 0.02 volts, and then the green trace is showing us 0.02 volts. Okay, right here. So now I'm going to go in the vehicle and turn the key on first. So let's turn the key on. So the key is on. Let's go back under the vehicle and check the lab scope. Let's see if we have anything on the lab scope. So key is on in the vehicle. We got nothing on the lab scope. So now let's start the engine. The key is on, the engine is on. I'm going to turn on the AC. AC is on. Now let's go check out our lab scope. Let's see if we have some control at the lab scope screen. So I did see something. As you can see, there's control over here. There's power and ground at the compressor, and the AC is now working. This means this compressor is bad because the compressor is getting power. So power on the yellow trace. So the yellow trace has got 12.46 volts, and then the green trace has got 0.02 volts. So the green trace is the ground and the yellow trace is power, but the AC compressor is not coming on. So that compressor is bad. So here on the machine, we have our pressures here. The pressure is equal on both sides. So let's go back in the vehicle. So let's lower the speed. Let's lower the speed of the fan here and see if there will be some type of control on the lab scope screen. So right here, watch this. I don't know if you saw that. Okay, I'm gonna bring my lab scope up here. Let's put the lab scope over here. I saw some control on the lab scope screen. I don't know if you saw that. Let's go back in the vehicle. So I'm going to turn off the AC. Let's turn the AC on. Let's look at the lab scope. Right here. We have control at the compressor. So this is the AC control unit controlling the compressor. So it starts by sending a pulse width modulated control first, and then it sends full power to the compressor. Okay, so our AC compressor is getting power, but our pressures on the machine are not changing. So bad AC compressor. This AC compressor is bad, guys. Okay, since it's getting power and ground, this AC compressor should run and make the AC work on this vehicle. So I'm gonna go in the vehicle and turn off the engine. So we are done. So let me see, let me turn off the AC. Let's look at the lab scope screen. So when we turn the AC, the yellow trace goes down to 0. Okay, I'm gonna go turn on the AC. So I turn on the AC. Watch this. So AC is on and we have our control, and this is coming from the wiring at the AC compressor. All right, so let's turn off the engine. We are done. We are done with our diagnosis. This is good to go. I mean, not fixed, but we know the issue. We are done with our diagnosis. We know what this vehicle needs. This vehicle needs an AC compressor. We checked the wiring of the AC compressor. It's getting good power and good ground, but the AC compressor is still not working. So there's no cold air coming out of these vents. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna call the customer and get a hold of a customer. I'm gonna tell the customer what we need. I'm gonna recommend replacing the AC compressor and the condenser and the dryer. And then we're gonna install those parts. That will be fixed after that. So I'm gonna talk to the customer and then I'll bring you guys back up. I did talk to the owner of this vehicle off camera. I wanna mention that the owner of this vehicle is a friend of mine. I told him what we found. I told him that the AC compressor is weak. It's defective, it's not working. And I'm gonna recommend replacing a new AC compressor, a new dryer, and the dryer is part of the condenser on this one. So we're gonna have to replace the condenser. But he told me that that's not within his budget right now. He won't be able to replace all these components right now. He asked me if we can install a used AC compressor in it. Now I told him I don't like installing used parts. If we install a used AC compressor in it, there's no warranty. So I'm not gonna warranty the job. And he's a friend, so I'm helping him out. He doesn't have the budget to fix it right now. So we're just gonna install a used AC compressor in it. Hopefully that fixes it. He's gonna get by with a used AC compressor for now, and then later on, when he has enough money to fix it right, he's gonna bring it back. So I'm not recommending used parts whatsoever, okay? So this friend is in a pinch. We're just helping him out. I'm gonna get a used compressor from a junkyard, and then I'll bring you guys back up. The compressor is the only thing he can afford right now, and that's what we're gonna replace, okay? But before we get the compressor, we can already go ahead and recover the refrigerant from the system. Let's do that while we're waiting for the used AC compressor. So I just talked to the guys at the junkyard. So the local junkyard has this AC compressor. So they're gonna deliver it in half hour. So while we're waiting for that, we can already go ahead and remove this old compressor. I'm gonna let the AC machine finish recovering the refrigerant from the system, and then I'll bring you guys back up. The AC machine is done recovering the refrigerant from the system. So this is how much refrigerant came out of the system. So we're good. So now we're gonna disconnect our service lines from the system. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the AC machine. Now we're gonna remove the AC compressor. I'm gonna undo these AC lines first, this suction line and the charge line. I'm using a 10 mil to undo the nuts that hold the AC lines on the AC compressor. We're gonna remove the first line, just like that. We're gonna push this out of the way. And then we're gonna remove the second line. Now, removing this AC compressor is really straightforward. Just like that. Here comes the second line. We're gonna get this one out of the way as well. So here's what we got. We have 2 bolts up here. But before we remove that bolt, I'm gonna get the serpentine belt removed first. Right there, we got the serpentine belt removed. So that's good. Now these bolts are 12 millimeter bolts. So we're gonna undo these 4 bolts and then our AC compressor is gonna come out. So we have 1, 2. So 1, 2, and then we have 2 more up here. Oops. All right, so the top bolts are coming out pretty easily. Also, our AC compressor from the junkyard just came in. It was pretty cheap, so hopefully that's good. What I don't like about used parts is that you get it from a junkyard and you don't know what you're gonna get, so it might be good or bad. So here comes the first bolt. And again, I told my friend, the customer, the owner of the car, that I wasn't gonna warranty anything. So if that compressor that we got from the junkyard, if it's bad, I'm not gonna redo this twice. So, I gave him a good deal on the labor, so I'm not responsible for the part. We did our diagnosis. We know that the wiring of the AC compressor is good. So the problem is not there. The problem is the compressor. So I told him to buy a brand new one, but he said he can't afford it right now. So we're just helping him out. All right, we're gonna remove the last bolt. And then the AC compressor should come out after this bolt is out. So there it is. So here comes our AC compressor. So here comes the compressor. So we're gonna get it out of the way. Here are our AC compressors. This is the compressor that came out of the vehicle. This is the used compressor that we got from the junkyard. As you can see, the oil that the machine pumped in the system is still sitting over here on this port of the AC compressor. So this compressor could not even suck the air inside and pump it throughout the system. Okay, so as you can see, our compressors look identical. Okay, they both look the same. Okay, so this is a used unit that we got from the junkyard. As you can see, it looks like this one. Same thing. Okay, so we're good to go. Now we're gonna install our used AC compressor. Just like that. So I'm gonna get all the bolts started, and then we're gonna torque them down. Now I'm blocking the holes of this opening on the AC compressor so that we don't get any dirt or contaminants in those holes. All right, so we got our bolts started. Just like that. So now I'm gonna use my torque wrench to torque the bolt for the AC compressor. The torque spec for the AC compressor bolt is 25 foot-pounds. All right, so the torque wrench just clicked. So now we're gonna torque this one here. All right, so that's torqued. So now we're gonna torque this one here. All right, so that's good. Now, once again, I'm torquing this bolt down to 25 foot-pounds. All right, this is torqued. I'm gonna double check all of them. That's torqued. That's torqued. That's torqued, so that's good. We're good to go. We have torqued the bolts that hold the AC compressor against the bracket on the block. So now we're gonna reconnect the electrical connector of the AC compressor. And then I'm going to zip tie this wire over here against the connector, the compressor. We have to zip tie this so that this wire doesn't hang down here. All right, so now the next step is going to be reinstalling the serpentine belt. All right, so just like that, we got the serpentine belt reinstalled. Everything looks good. So now we're going to install the AC lines. So this one's gonna go on first. Now I did replace the O-rings of the AC lines off camera. So there are O-rings over here and it's recommended to replace them. I did replace these ones off camera. So if you're doing this job, make sure you replace those lines. Make sure you replace those O-rings. So now I'm gonna tighten the nuts for these lines. Now you don't have to go too tight on these 10mm nuts for the AC lines. These nuts are not tight. They're not on really tight. So now we're gonna install this one over here. We're going to install the nut for the second line, and then we're going to charge the system, and hopefully after that we should be good to go. All right, so we tightened everything, we got everything back together, so we're good to go. So here's how everything looks after installing a used AC compressor on this vehicle. So everything is back together. So now let's charge the system with the correct amount of refrigerant. We're gonna turn on the AC machine. I'm gonna get our service lines connected to the system. So there's nothing in the system right now. We're gonna send vacuum in the system first, and then we're gonna charge it. We're good to go. So now we're gonna send vacuum in the system. We're gonna vacuum the system for 5 minutes, and then we're gonna do a leak test. Now it's recommended to do this for 15 minutes, but I think 5 minutes is fine. I usually just do 5 minutes because this is not a long system, so 5 minutes is good enough. So we're gonna let the machine do its thing, and then I'll bring you guys back up when the machine is done sending vacuum in the system. The AC machine is done sending vacuum in the system. As you can see, the system has passed the leak test. So now we're gonna charge the system. So we're gonna click on charge. We're gonna put 1.22 pounds of refrigerant in the system. So just like that. We're gonna put 1 ounce of refrigerant oil in the system. Okay, we're gonna charge this on both sides, so we're good to go. This is how much refrigerant we're putting in the system. All right. So we're gonna let the machine charge the system. So right there, the machine is now sending refrigerant in the system. I can hear a hissing sound coming from these lines. Okay, so we're gonna leave this alone. I'm gonna show you this head that I'm removing on this BMW. I'm removing the cylinder head on this BMW. I'm almost done. I almost got it out. I gotta remove the timing cover, and then I gotta remove the camshafts, undo the bolts for the head, and then this is gonna come out. Okay? While we're waiting for the AC machine to be done, I'm gonna show you the other project that we have here. So my friend Jack put lift kits on this Bronco. So he put lift kits on this beast. They also replaced tires on this, and this truck is brand new. Look how nice and clean this is. You don't have to use a torch on this. I wish all the vehicles we worked on were this nice. Yeah, this is a brand new truck. Okay, so let's go back to our Hyundai. So now it says disconnect high side service hose. So I'm not gonna disconnect the high side service hose. I'm just gonna close the valve. Okay, actually I can disconnect it. And then the machine tells us to start the vehicle and then turn on the AC. So I'm gonna go in the vehicle and start the engine. So we turned on the AC. Oh, I like that. Nice. I like the temperature of the air that's coming out of those vents. So we did what the machine told us. We're gonna press this green arrow here. And then one thing I noticed now is the fan is now on. I don't know if you can tell, but the fan is now working. Okay. So what else is the machine telling us? Now the machine is telling us to close the coupler valve and disconnect service hoses from the vehicle. So now the machine is telling us to disconnect both service hoses from the vehicle. So this is fixed, guys. I can already tell that this is fixed. The fan wasn't working before. Now the fan is working right there. So that's good. Okay, so we're gonna let the machine equalize the pressure, and then it's gonna tell us how much refrigerant it put in the system. So in the meantime, we can go in the vehicle and check the temperature of the air that's coming out of these vents. Oh wow, this feels good. Woo. It's working. Are you guys curious? Do you believe what I'm telling you? The AC is now working. The air that's coming out of these vents feel very, very good. Okay, let's grab our thermometer. Check this out. Now the air that's coming out of these vents has a temperature of 61 degrees. Ooh, this guy is gonna be happy. Check this out. Nice. It's fixed. It's fixed, guys. The problem was the compressor. As you can see, the AC is now working. The temperature that's coming out of this vent is 62 degrees. Nice. So now let's go back under the hood. So this is good. We're done here. This is fixed. So here is how much refrigerant we put in the system. 1.219. Okay, so 1.21 pounds of refrigerant. So that's good. So now here's what I want to do. I always like to look at the gauges on the machine with the service hoses connected to the system, so I can see how much pressures we're going to have on the low side and high side. So I'm going to compare the pressures on both sides with the compressor working well. Remember, before we had the correct amount of refrigerant in the system, the AC was on, but both of our gauges were showing 110 psi. Okay, so now the AC is now working. We know the issue was the compressor, but I'm going to reconnect our service lines to the system. Okay, we're just going to check our pressures. Now this step is not necessary, but I'm just going to check. I'm going to close these knobs. Okay, so now let's look at the pressures we have on the AC machine. Check this out. So low side versus high side. So on the low side, the pressure is about 31 psi, 31. And then on the high side, the pressure is about 225 psi. Okay, so the high side is going high. So it goes up to about 260, and then the fan comes on. So the fan came on, and then when the fan comes on, our high side gauge goes down. Okay, so 30 psi on the low side and about 225 psi on the high side. So this is good. And the outside temperature right now is about 95 degrees. So if the outside temperature is about 95 degrees on a good working system, you should have about 30 psi on the low side and then about 225 psi on the high side. So since our gauges were showing the same temperature before on the high side, I mean on the low side and high side, that was caused by a bad AC compressor. So if the pressure on the low side is equal to the pressure on the high side while the engine is running and the AC is on, your issue is most likely the AC compressor. So that's good to know. We're good to go. Here are the pressures we have. Everything is good. Okay, the fan is spinning. It wasn't spinning before, so we're good to go, guys. This is fixed. I'm gonna go in the vehicle and turn off the engine so we can wrap up this video. So we are done. Now, since this is a used compressor, I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it worked. Okay, so it feels good. Once again, I told the customer I'm not gonna warranty the work, but it's working. So hopefully this compressor lasts long. So right there, now the temperature is going down to 51 degrees. Oh, it feels nice sitting here. All right, so we're good to go. This is fixed. As you can see, the temperature that's coming out of these vents is way low than what was coming out of here before. So we're good to go. I'm gonna turn off the engine so we can wrap up this video. So this is fixed. The AC is now fixed on this vehicle. I'm gonna leave this right over here. This Hyundai Sonata is fixed. The AC is now working, so we're good to go. We're gonna have another happy customer. My friend is gonna be happy. So I hope you like the video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumb down. But if you do, you gotta tell me why so we can make better videos in the future. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Thanks for watching. See you next time.